The argument ended hours ago. But in your mind, the other person is still speaking. You correct their tone. You deliver the perfect reply. You finally make them understand. And every time you win the imaginary argument, your body loses another quiet minute. It happens in the shower, on the commute, while answering email, and at the exact moment you need to sleep. The scene changes. Your opponent changes. The structure does not. You are trying to repair the past by winning a conversation that is no longer taking place. Tonight, we will separate useful preparation from mental self-punishment. We will not pretend that disrespect is harmless, or that anger can be switched off on command. We will ask a more practical question: does this argument still require an action in the real world? In the previous episode, we separated fact, story, and next action. This episode begins where that exercise becomes difficult, when the story starts talking back in another person's voice. A memory becomes a courtroom, and you become prosecutor, witness, and exhausted defendant at once. The mind insists this rehearsal is helping. It says, I am preparing. I am finding the truth. I am making sure this never happens again. Sometimes that is true. Reflection can reveal a needed apology, a clearer question, or a boundary. But a loop produces heat without light. It repeats the charge and never reaches a decision. Imagine a meeting. You offer an idea, and a colleague dismisses it with a laugh. You say nothing because the room moves on before you understand what you feel. Under the table, your hand tightens. Outwardly, the moment lasts 10 seconds. Inside, the meeting continues for 3 hours. You invent what the laugh meant. You construct the reply you should have made. You imagine the room finally taking your side. The original slight may have been real. The repeated trial is being supplied by you. This is why the inner argument feels so convincing. It begins with evidence. Something was said. A tone was used. A boundary may have been crossed. Then imagination adds motives, future disasters, perfect speeches, and a jury that always agrees with you. The loop offers the sensation of control without the cost of a real conversation. In imagination, no one interrupts. No new fact complicates the case. Your best line always arrives on time. That is not resolution. It is a private performance with no closing scene. Seneca examined anger with unusual honesty. He did not describe it as simple strength. He studied how suspicion becomes certainty, how certainty demands punishment, and how speed makes both more dangerous. His answer was not passivity. It was to put time between appearance and verdict. In On Anger, Seneca writes, "We should always allow some time to elapse, for time discloses the truth." Delay is not weakness here. It is an investigation that anger wants to prevent. Seneca gives an even more demanding instruction: we ought, therefore, to plead the cause of the absent against ourselves. The person in your head cannot present context, correct your memory, or surprise you with an explanation. Pleading the absent person's case does not require declaring them innocent. It means refusing to treat your first interpretation as the only possible explanation. Perhaps they meant harm. Perhaps they were careless. Perhaps you missed part of the context. Different causes may require different responses. Epictetus makes the same move in a shorter form: try, therefore, in the first place, not to be hurried away with the appearance. Then he adds the practical reason: if you gain time and respite, you can more easily command yourself. This matters because the first movement is not the whole moral event. Seneca distinguishes the involuntary shock of an apparent injury from the later rush that accepts the appearance as true and moves toward revenge. You may not choose the first flash. You can still refuse to feed it a script all night. Marcus Aurelius points to the hidden cost. Consider how much more pain is brought on us by the anger and vexation caused by such acts than by the acts themselves. The first injury belongs to the event. The additional hours may belong to the rehearsal. But there is a serious objection. What if replaying the conversation protects you? What if you need to recognize manipulation, prepare for a difficult meeting, or find words you could not access under pressure? Then reflection has a job. The question is whether it completes that job. Useful rehearsal creates something new, a question, a plan, a sentence, a boundary, or a decision. Rumination repeats the same evidence with the same verdict and calls repetition progress. If 10 minutes produce no new fact and no new action, the loop is probably no longer preparing you. Modern psychology makes a similar distinction. In a major review, psychologist Edward Watkins found that repetitive thought can be constructive or unconstructive. Part of the difference is whether thought stays abstract or becomes concrete. Why did they do this to me keeps the trial alive. What will I ask tomorrow creates a next step. Do not measure reflection by how intense it feels. Measure it by whether it produces clearer information or a usable action. A second tool is psychological distance. Ask the question as if you were advising someone you are responsible for, not prosecuting someone you hate. Research by Ethan Cross and colleagues found that using your own name or non-first-person language during introspection can increase self-distancing under social stress. So ask, what does this situation require from you now? Not what speech would finally force the other person to surrender. Use a simple practice called the 3 doors. Every unfinished argument must pass through one of them: clarify, set a boundary, or release. The practice forces imagination to hand the case back to action. Door 1 is clarify. Use it when a fact is missing. Do not prosecute an invented motive. Ask one honest question in the real world. When you laughed during my idea, I read it as dismissal. What did you mean? Door 2 is boundary. Use it when the pattern is clear and continued participation would violate your standards. A boundary is not the speech that finally controls another person. It is your decision. I will end the call if insults begin. I will document this. I will ask for help. I will leave. Door 3 is release. Use it when no conversation, repair, protection, or decision remains. Release does not declare that what happened was acceptable. It declares that the absent person will no longer receive free access to tonight. Return to the meeting. Perhaps you choose clarify. The next morning, you ask about the laugh without accusing your colleague of a motive you cannot know. Their answer may repair the moment, reveal carelessness, or confirm disrespect. In every case, you now have reality to work with. Do not force this process at 2 in the morning. Write the sentence you want to say. Name the door. Then sleep before sending anything. Delay gives tomorrow's judgment a chance to edit tonight's certainty. This is not emotional suppression. You are allowed to feel anger, disappointment, embarrassment, and grief. The Stoic discipline is not to become stone. It is to stop turning a feeling into an endless command performance. Feel what arrived. Decide what justice requires. Refuse the extra injury of rehearsal without action. Tonight, take one argument that keeps reopening. Write one line for each door. Clarify, what fact would I need to ask for? Boundary, what will I do if this continues? Release, what action no longer remains? Choose one door. Do not keep all 3 open. The first episode asked you to return the outcome to the river. This episode asks you to stop holding court on its bank. In the next episode, we will examine the deeper need beneath many arguments, the need to make everyone understand you. Which door does your unfinished argument need? Clarify, boundary, or release? Name the door. Name the real-world action. Then let the imaginary courtroom go dark for tonight.